Right side, you see a scanner technology that first scans the wound on the patient, and then it comes back with the print hits, actually printing the layers that you require on the patients themselves. This is how it actually works. Here's a scanner going through, scanning the wound. Once it's scanned, sends information and layers the correct layers of cells where they need to be. And now you're going to see here a demo of this actually being done in a representative wound. And we actually do this with a gel so that you can lift the gel material. So once those cells are on the patient, they will stay. So while we've been talking today, we've actually, you can actually see the printer back here in the backstage. That's actually the actual printer right now. And that's been printing this kidney structure that you see here. It takes about 7 hours to print the kidneys. This is about 3 hours into it now. And Dr. Kang's going to walk on stage right now, and we're actually going to show you one of these kidneys that we printed a little bit earlier today. Put a pair of gloves here. Thank you. Go backwards. So these gloves are a little bit small on me, but here it is. You can actually see that kidney as it was printed earlier today. Another technology that we have used in patients actually involves bladders. We actually take a very small piece of the bladder from the patient, less than half the size of a postage stamp. We then grow the cells outside the body, take the scaffold, coat the scaffold with the cells, the patient's own cells, 2 different cell types. We then put it in this oven-like device, has the same conditions as a human body, 37 degrees centigrade, 95% oxygen. A few weeks later, you have your engineered organ that we're then able to implant back into the patient. For these specific patients, we actually just suture these materials. We use 3-dimensional imaging analysis, but we actually created these biomaterials by hand. But we now have better ways to create these structures with the cells. We use now some type of technologies where for solid organs, for example, like the liver, what we do is we take discard livers. As you know, a lot of organs are actually discarded, not used. So we can take these liver structures, which are not going to be used, and we then put them in a washing machine-like structure that will allow the cells to be washed away. 2 weeks later, you have something that looks like a liver. You can hold it like a liver, but it has no cells. It's just a skeleton of the liver. And we then can reperfuse the liver with cells, preserving the blood vessel tree. So we actually perfuse first the blood vessel tree with the patient's own blood vessel cells, and we then infiltrate the parenchyma with the liver cells, and we now have been able just to show the creation of human liver tissue just this past month using this technology. This is actually a heart valve that we've engineered. And you can see here we have the structure of the heart valve, and we've seeded that with cells. And then we exercise it. So you see the leaflets opening and closing of this heart valve that's currently being used experimentally to try to get it to further studies.
Which is what Isaias Hernandez says ECM did for him. Hernandez was so severely wounded by a mortar round that amputation of his leg seemed likely. Dr. Wolf operated on Hernandez last year as a first test of ECM in this type of injury. He placed ECM in Hernandez's thigh, which grew entirely new muscle in a wound that had once exposed the bone.
Give me another 5, let's just see.
His physical therapist, Johnny Owens, says the muscle growth is clear.
And relax.
It has grown.
Yeah. On imaging and to what we see and to what he feels, it feels like it's grown.
Do you feel the difference?
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't get as tired as quickly or shaky. Before, after doing some of the workouts, I'd have to take a break, and now I don't have to take a break anymore.
It's remarkable. It's amazing. It must give you a lot of pleasure to see that kind of progress.
It does, yeah, and I think there's a lot of potential to see bigger and better things.
Indiana Colts quarterback Peyton Manning has undergone 3 operations to try and correct a bulging disc in his neck. When suffering from a bulging disc, the jelly-like center of a spinal disc bulges out of its surrounding wall and presses on the nearby nerve root, causing inflammation and pain. To treat this, an anterior cervical discectomy and fusion is performed by first removing the affected disc. Bone graft harvested from the pelvic bone is then placed in the empty space. With time, the bone graft fuses with the vertebrae. Reports also suggest that Manning travelled to Europe recently for stem cell therapy unavailable in the US. The procedure involves taking stem cells from fat tissues in the abdomen and injecting them into the problem area. Stem cell experts suggest such therapy can help speed recovery in 3 ways: by reducing nerve inflammation, regenerating nerve cells, and stimulating bone growth and fusion.